Over the centuries, man has had a fascination with flying. While some have been content to fuel this desire through the cockpit of a plane, for others, the idea of flight has known no limits. In 1912, Austrian tailor Franz Reichelt designed an overcoat that he claimed would have the same effect as a parachute. He tested it by leaping from the first level of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, with disastrous consequences. Not that his failure dampened the spirit of future generations of would-be flyers.
To love danger is to love life. Yeah, that's it. Because the love of danger is about pushing back the limits, trying to go further and further. I never feel more alive than when I'm confronting danger.
Patrick de Gaillardon was the father of sky surfing and a pioneer of extreme aerobatics. Like many others before and after him, de Gaillardon perished testing a new design of his wingsuit back in 1998. However, his design gave rise to a new generation of birdmen, one of whom is using it to set firsts in this extreme sporting landscape. Meet Switzerland's Uli Gegenschatz.
The wingsuit is simply a flying suit to cover the body. It's really only a piece of polyester cloth. My body stretches this material, which then allows me to have an outline or a profile that's as aerodynamic as a bird's. So when I have exactly the right position for freefall, it means I can more or less start flying. Basically, that's what it does. And that's great, because it's an amazing feeling. You can fly much further horizontally during freefall than without it. But most importantly, what it's done is to develop the sport even further. It means I can experience more in training, and it really appeals to me because now I can base jump practically anywhere, off anything.
Jumping anywhere, off anything, is what Uli has been doing for almost 20 years now. Having first discovered parachuting during his compulsory Swiss national service, Uli's attempted many different varieties of skydiving since. Initially competing as a professional paraglider, he founded the Red Bull Acro team in 1995 with compatriot Andy Hedinger and Austria's Hannes Ach, in which they pushed back the boundaries of what man can do whilst plummeting to the earth.
I'm convinced that we are not at the limit of what is possible in this sport. I think that with a lot of work we can push it even further, and I would really like to be part of that progress. My ultimate goal is to develop myself personally, to work hard and to harness my abilities through the targets I set myself in training. I need to do this so I can reach new boundaries in the sport and push the limits to raise my game to the next level. The big question is, can I do it? I think and I hope that I can, not just for myself personally, but also for the next generation as well.
Uli has been using the flying suit first thought up by de Gaillardon with spectacular results. Earlier this year, he beat the time it takes a commercial plane to fly from the island of Innismore to the Irish mainland. Leaping out at 15,500 feet, Gegenschatz travelled the 17.6-kilometre distance at a top speed of 250 kilometres per hour, landing safely 5 minutes and 45 seconds later, over a minute before the plane touched down. Uli is always pushing back boundaries. He was the first man to jump off the Mushroom, an unusual ledge on the north face of the Eiger, and from the top of Switzerland's iconic Matterhorn. The 37-year-old has also base jumped into 2 active volcano craters and leapt from Yosemite's El Capitan at night. It's heartening to discover that by day, this daredevil is an insurance advisor.
At first people laugh, but then straight away realize that it's about risk calculation. How do you deal with risks and figure out the best way to minimize them? But my work is my work. That side is about my client's risk. The air is my hobby and my passion. Up there, they are my own risks. I calculate them and decide how to deal with them. And it's possible that at the end of the day, that is where my fascination with jumping comes from, calculating whether or not it is possible.
That attitude stood him in good stead earlier this year when he leapt off the Eiffel Tower.
3, 2, 1.
This is a sport which averages around 4 deaths a year. To the man in the street, it would seem that Uli is risking his own life every time he wants to get a buzz.
To describe why I do what I do is very difficult. It's such a rush. Personal safety is important for sure, but on the other hand, the challenge, the speed and the control really gets me. It's just this really intense combination. Sure, I double-check that everything is doable and that the conditions are right, but I want to push myself to achieve more, and when I'm pushing my personal limits, it's fantastic. But as I said, as long as it's safe to do so, because, I mean, no jump is worth your life.
This adrenaline junkie has pushed the limits of base jumping and extreme skydiving beyond the pale. So, what next for Uli Gegenschatz, the human bird, known to all as Sputnik?
At the moment, I'm working intensively and solely with my wingsuit. I'm always on the lookout for new cliffs. The most recent one I found, I think, will allow me to jump the current world record for the highest height difference. Let me explain. The greatest height difference is the distance between the height of the jump and where you land. I think the cliff should give me good flying time and bring out the best in me. Also, it could possibly be the longest flight from a cliff in a wingsuit. But before I even get there, it is extremely important that I train hard, because it will take an entire day climbing to just get to this cliff. But I'm sure once I'm there, it'll all be worth it.
Next week, we're in Iceland, where a third of the country's 18,000 footballers are women.
And we find out just how those guys do those tricks on their motorbikes.